Hello friends, I am Bishop Andy C. Lewter, historian of the Full Gospel Baptist Church Fellowship, and this is another one of my This Week in Church History. I come to you each and every week with another episode in some of the memorable moments that have taken place over the last some 2,000 years that the Christian church has been in existence. It is my hope, even my prayer, that either something said and or done over the course of these next several minutes will improve your skill set, expand your knowledge base, and give you a deeper appreciation of the long road and journey that the church has traveled again for now a little more than 2,000 years. This week in church history, I celebrate Albert Schweitzer, who this week received his licentiate in theology. That would have taken place in the year 1900. Now, Albert Schweitzer was born in 1875 in the outlying rural area of Germany, when that portion of Germany, or actually the outlying portion of France, but when that portion of France was still under German control. He would go on to do several things, and he is a noted personality in several different areas. In 1952, he would receive the Nobel Peace Prize for his work in philosophy, having to do with the reverence of life. He was a medical doctor, rather distinguished in that field as well. He actually went into the studies of medicine right after his studies of theology. And he was also a musical genius of sorts. He was a musical historian of music, having studied extensively the work of Johannes Sebastian Bach. He was not only a performing musician, but a studied historian in that area as well. But what brings Albert Schweitzer to our attention today is his work in the area of theology, and more specifically in the area of Christology, which literally means the study of Christ. Now, in 1899, Schweitzer was appointed a deacon at the St. Nicholas Church in Strasbourg. Now, a deacon in that tradition is a little different than what we are familiar with today. Our sense and our definition of deacon usually assigns that office to the laity. It's a lay position, but Albert Schweitzer was a part of the Lutheran Reformation that had been started by Martin Luther, 1517 to 1531. He was the son of a Lutheran pastor, and in that tradition, a deacon was not a part of the laity, but rather was the first tier or the first step or the first level of professional ministry. So he becomes a deacon in 1899. The following year, in 1900, he completes the Licentiate of Theology curriculum, and he is appointed a curator at St. Nicholas Church there in Strasbourg. Now, curator literally means to care for the souls of individuals, and that position could more accurately be described as an assistant to a local parish priest. He would remain there in that capacity, but it would be in 1911 that he would produce a work entitled The Search for the Historical Jesus that makes him so interesting to us today. In this work, he actually traces the scholastic debate and discourse that had begun with Samuel Reimarus in the 17th century and continued all the way up to William Reed in the 19th and 20th century, and both of them had competing ideologies. about who Jesus was. In the case of Albert Schweitzer, he contended against both the secular version of Jesus that had been populated by those in biblical scholarship and literary criticism, and even those that had molded and made an image of Jesus that was produced by the church, as in the case of William Reed. He had so much to say about both of those extremities, so to speak. In the case of Albert Schweitzer, he did not subscribe to the notion that Jesus was this mythical character that had these great attributes over a 2,000-year period, but that he was an individual who saw himself, as well as his followers, as a messianic figure who would champion the cause of God in the immediate lifespan of those who he recruited, converted, and made a part of his movement. His work has a whole lot to do with what we would later call the delay of the parousia. And the reason he is so important to us, beloved, even today, is because those of us who yet traffic in this tension between the Christ of faith, which is at the centerpiece of Christianity, and the Jesus of history, which is a more academic discourse. So much of what we say, so much of what we do, so much of what we reference goes back to Albert Schweitzer. And so we could not have these meaningful kinds of conversations about the historical Jesus compared to the Christ of faith without the foundational work that was done by Albert Schweitzer in the early days of the 20th century. So today we salute him as a father of biblical studies and biblical scholarship, and as one who has given much insight in the area of the historical Jesus in particular. When we look at individuals like Bart Ehrman today and others of his ilk and like, they exist today largely because of the likes of an Albert Schweitzer. Well, friends, again, I am the historian of the Full Gospel Baptist Church Fellowship, and I want to take a moment, because if this material is of any interest to you at all, I want to invite you to take a look at the screen where I have provided you with a link where there are several online courses that's available for your consideration. And because I did not want to narrowly confine myself to a particular tradition, I am placing on the screen now another link for those who are perhaps not a part of our fellowship, but have an equal appetite and interest in what it is that we're talking about right now. Listen, either of those two links will take you to places where you can do additional study and gain access to the research and the material that we have done in the area of church history. Friends, I want to thank you for your time, for listening to me, and I hope that you'll tell a neighbor, tell a friend that you subscribe to this podcast, either the video portion or the video version or the audio version. Again, I am Andy C. Lewter, and on the behalf of the Full Gospel Baptist Church Fellowship, where I'm privileged and honored, even humbled, to serve as its historian, I want to remind you that God loves you, we love you, we look forward to seeing you soon. Therefore, friends, go in peace, go in joy, go in love, and go in happiness, for the author of the same most certainly goes with you. God bless.